Cold wind slid between the parked cars and made loose paper skitter across the asphalt. A small brown puppy stood near the edge of a grocery store parking lot, nose lifted, trying to catch a scent that kept breaking apart in the air. His ears were too big for his head. His paws looked like they belonged to a dog that had not grown into himself yet. A frayed red collar hung around his neck, but no tag clinked against it. He took 3 careful steps forward, then froze when a shopping cart rattled somewhere behind him. A woman pushed the cart past, talking into her phone, and did not look down. The puppy's tail lifted halfway, hopeful, then fell back to stillness when she kept walking. He tried again with someone else. He padded toward a man loading groceries into a trunk and sat like he had been taught. His back was straight. His eyes were wide. He held his breath as if that would make him easier to notice. The man shut the trunk and wiped his hands on his jeans. He glanced down at the puppy for a second, then looked away, as if the puppy were a problem that might attach itself. "Not today," the man muttered, more to himself than to the dog. He got into his car and drove off. The puppy flinched at the engine sound. He backed up until his shoulder brushed a concrete post. His nails clicked lightly on the ground as he shifted his weight, trying to decide where to go next. His belly made a small sound, a quiet complaint. He licked his lips and looked around. Near the store entrance, people moved in and out like a steady river. Some held coffee, some held bags, some held children's hands. The puppy watched every face as if the right one might turn toward him and make everything stop feeling so big. But nobody did. A door whooshed open and warm air spilled out, smelling like bread and rotisserie chicken. The puppy took 1 step toward it, pulled by the smell, and then stopped again when the automatic doors closed with a soft thump. He tried to follow a couple inside, staying low and quick, but the shiny floor and the loud beeps from the checkout area hit him like a wall. His paws slid, his ears folded back. He turned fast and rushed out before anyone could shout. Outside again, the cold felt sharper. He trotted along the side of the building where the wind was calmer. A thin strip of weeds grew between the wall and the curb. He lowered his head and sniffed, hoping for anything edible. Old French fry, a crust, even a crumb. Nothing. A car horn blared, sudden and close. The puppy jumped sideways so hard his collar scraped the wall. He stood trembling, trying to make himself smaller. He pressed his nose against the frayed collar as if it could comfort him. His eyes darted from car to car, searching for a familiar shape, a familiar voice. Somewhere far off, a dog barked. The puppy's head snapped up. He answered with a small yip, then another. His voice sounded thin in the open space. No bark came back. He lowered his head again and started walking, slower now, as if the ground had grown heavier. Behind the store, the air changed. It smelled like damp cardboard and old fruit. The sounds of the parking lot faded a little, muffled by the tall wall. A cluster of dumpsters sat in a row, lids half-closed, black plastic shining in the gray light. The puppy stopped at a safe distance and stared. He had learned that loud things and big things could surprise you. Dumpsters were both. A small flutter of movement caught his eye near the base of the far dumpster, something quick, low to the ground, gone. The puppy stiffened, then took 1 careful step forward. A faint scratching sound came again, like nails on cardboard. The puppy's nose lifted. He sniffed. The scent was different from food and different from humans, warm, alive. He crept closer, placing each paw as quietly as he could. From behind a torn box, a tiny kitten appeared. The kitten was the color of ash and cream, with wide eyes that looked too big for her face. Her fur stuck up in uneven tufts, as if she had slept in the wrong place and had not found time to fix it. She was small enough that the puppy could have stepped over her. But the kitten did not run. She stared at the puppy, body low, paws planted. Her tail was not puffed, but it was stiff. She looked like she was trying very hard to be brave. The puppy stopped so suddenly his back paws slid a little. For a moment, neither of them moved. Only the wind moved, pushing a scrap of plastic in circles near the dumpster. The puppy lowered his head and gave a soft whine, not loud enough to scare her. The kitten's ears twitched. Her eyes stayed on him, but her shoulders loosened a little. The puppy took a step back to show he was not chasing. Then he sat down, careful and polite, like he had done in front of the man with groceries. His tail tapped the ground once unsure. The kitten blinked. She moved one paw forward, then another, slow as falling leaves. She stopped again when the puppy's ears perked up, then continued when he stayed still. When she was close enough, she sniffed the air near his nose, just for a second, and hopped back like she had touched a hot stove. The puppy did not follow. He simply watched her, breathing shallowly. The kitten's whiskers trembled. She turned her head and glanced toward the dumpsters, then back to the puppy. Then she did something unexpected. She walked past him. The puppy's head turned, confused. He stood up and followed at a distance, keeping his steps soft. The kitten moved with purpose, weaving between a stack of empty crates and a pile of flattened boxes. She stopped beside a torn grocery bag lying on its side. She pawed at it, then looked back at the puppy. The puppy hurried forward, then slowed when he got close. Inside the bag, there were a few dry bits of kibble, probably spilled from someone's shopping. Not much, but to the puppy it might as well have been a full bowl. He stared at it, then looked at the kitten. She sat down and wrapped her tail around her paws, as if she were waiting. The puppy lowered his head and took one piece, chewing carefully. He paused after the first bite and glanced up. The kitten did not move toward the food. She just watched, eyes steady, like she was making sure he really ate. The puppy took another piece, then pushed one toward her with his nose. The kitten sniffed it and turned her head away. The puppy ate slower after that, as if trying to make it last. When the last piece was gone, he licked the inside of the bag, then stepped back. The kitten stood and walked closer again. She lifted her chin and sniffed his collar, right where the frayed red fabric rubbed his fur. The puppy held still, but his body leaned toward her without him meaning to, like a tired person leaning toward a warm lamp. The kitten made a small sound in her throat, not quite a meow, more like a question. The puppy answered with a quiet whine. His eyes blinked slowly, and his tail gave a tiny wag. The kitten turned and started walking again, heading toward the far end of the alley behind the store. The puppy followed, quicker now, because the kitten seemed to know where she was going. They passed a puddle that reflected the gray sky. The puppy stopped to drink. The kitten sat beside him, watching the alley entrance as if she were listening for something. A moment later, the kitten stood abruptly. Her head snapped toward the corner where the alley met the street. The puppy lifted his head, water dripping from his chin. A shadow moved on the ground, long and thin. Footsteps approached, slow and heavy, and then stopped. The kitten slipped behind a crate without a sound. The puppy stayed in the open for one heartbeat too long, frozen by the sudden change. His ears went forward, then back. His paws shifted. A voice came from around the corner, low and cautious. "Hey, here, kitty kitty." The puppy's stomach tightened. He did not know the voice. He did not know if it meant food or trouble. The kitten's eyes appeared between the slats of the crate, bright and alert. She looked at the puppy, then flicked her tail once, sharp like a signal. The footsteps started moving closer. The puppy took a step backward, then another, unsure whether to run or hide. And then the kitten slipped out, not away from the sound, but toward it, hugging the wall like she had done this before. The puppy watched, heart thudding, as the kitten disappeared around the corner. He stood alone in the damp alley, listening. The footsteps paused again, closer than before. Then something metal clicked softly, like a car door unlocking. The puppy's head tilted. His paws crept forward without permission. Whatever was happening around that corner, the kitten had walked straight into it. And the puppy had to decide, right now, if he would follow